Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at Lycander's Flank. Lycander's Flank is a Amazon-only spear that is actually pretty darn sweet. And if you intend to build a fend Amazon, if you intend to build a impale Amazon, if you intend to build a spear Amazon like the lightning tree, there's the lightning spear attacks and the charge strike and things like that. All of those abilities can work fairly well with this particular spear, whether it's jab, impale, fend, power strike, charge strike, lightning strike. They all work relatively well with a Lycander's Flank. And it is a very interesting spear. It's a very big weapon. I mean, it's just very massive, and it does have, unfortunately, rather low durability, only 25. But I have noticed this with pretty much all of the Amazon-only spears, as well as the spears in general. For some reason, spears just tend to have relatively low durability. I don't know why. It does have relatively nice damage for level 42, which is 143 to 335. There's also an ethereal version, but unfortunately you would not be able to use the ethereal version due to its low durability, as well as the fact that it's not indestructible until much later in the game when you got a Zod rune. So we're going to put that aside for right now. It does have a dexterity requirement of 98 and a strength requirement of 115, which isn't too bad for level 42. It's relatively fast with a fast attack speed. It has +2 javelin and spear skills. This is actually an innate effect on ceremonial pikes. It does go as high as 3, but unfortunately this particular unique item does not. So this one only goes to +2 and it is static. We also have +2 to Amazon skills, which is very nice. So you get a total of +4 to javelin and spear skills. Plus 30% increased attack speed, which is, of course, what makes this a much faster item. We also have an enhanced damage, which varies from 150% to 200% enhanced, which is very nice. We also have a added damage of 25 to 50. And then on top of that, we have lifesteal, which does vary from 5% to 9%. And if you were going to use this on a physical damage Zon, I would probably recommend trying to get the 9% version with a 200% ED, just simply because it does make a pretty big difference in a physical damage character's ability for the extra damage and the extra lifesteal. Also, 5% is relatively low, whereas 9% is very nice. We also have a 20% enhanced defense on this, which means that when you put it on, you do get a nice bump in defense. As you can see here, I'm 2,428, and that brings me up to 2,913. And this is something that Amazons definitely do need because they don't tend to have a kind of defensive mechanic other than the evades. We also have 20 to Strength and 20 to Vitality, both of which are very nice. 20 to Strength is, of course, going to give you a nice bump to the ability to equip your gear. Strength also gives you 1% off-weapon ED per level. Off-weapon enhanced damage is not as good as on-weapon enhanced damage, but it definitely does help a little bit. And then we also have the 20 Vitality, which is going to give us a nice amount of life as well, which is very nice. As you can see, I go from 584 life to 644 life when I put this on. Now, Lycander's Flank Ceremonial Pike can be upgraded. This is only an exceptional level item. And to upgrade this, you are going to need a Pull Rune, a Lum Rune, and a Perfect Emerald. Pull, Beak. We've got our Perfect Emerald, Bink, and we've got our Lummy Lum Runes. I know I got some Lum Runes left around here somewhere, don't I? Yes, I do. All right, so to upgrade this, we're going to upgrade the normal version first, and then we're going to upgrade the ethereal version next. So we're going to go from 143 damage, 335 on the top end, with durability of 25, sometimes that changes, a dexterity requirement of 98, a strength requirement of 115, and a level requirement of 42. To Lycander's Flank Matriarchal Pike, 129 to 482 damage, same durability, 149 dex, which is really high, and 132 strength, which is pretty high considering it also requires 149 dex, and a level requirement of 67. 67 is not so bad. Could potentially be useful at level 67. Although later on in the game, when you hit level 70 and 80 and 90, you might be looking at some various other items as you go along. So keep that in mind. Now, Lycander's flank does have some downsides to it. It does not have any resistances on it, and of course, by using it, you are also consuming the shield slot, which means that you are losing out on a rather large amount of resistances. So do keep that in mind as you think about Lycander's flank, because you're going to have to solve your resistance issues with other items. Now, the ethereal version can also be upgraded, and it could be potentially Zodded, which would make it a relatively high damage item. And to do that, you, of course, are going to need another Pole Rune, another Lum Rune, and another Perfect Emerald. Perfect Emerald, Pole Rune, a Lummy Rune. This one's going to go from 203 to 477, 88 dex, 105 strength, and level 42. To 180 to 698 damage, 139 dex, 122 strength, and level 67. So as you can see, a fairly nice bump in damage there between the two. I mean, we go up quite a bit on the minimum from 129 to 180, which is, what is that? 130, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, so about 50 extra damage on the minimum, and quite a large bump on the maximum from 482 to 698. Very, very nice there. That's a little over 200 extra damage on the top end. Now, of course, you would have to socket this, and you would have to Zod it if you wanted to use this on your Amazon. And because it is an Amazon-only spear, you obviously cannot use this on a mercenary. What builds could potentially use this? As we talked about earlier, this particular spear is very useful for a charge strike, lightning strike, fend, impale, jab, and power strike builds. That's really what this is made for, is these particular builds right here. You're not going to be able to use it with the Poison Javelin, Lightning Bolt, Plague Javelin, or Lightning Fury, and of course you're not going to be able to use it with any of the bow and crossbow skills. It does work very well with the passive skills, though. You're going to want things like Critical Strike, you're going to want things like Penetrate, Pierce is not needed for spear skills. You are probably going to want the dodges, though, to dodge, avoid, and evade. Those are all very, very handy. And quite honestly, you may also want Inner Sight to bring down the defense of the targets around you so you can hit them easier, especially if you're using Fend. Now, the Lycander's flank might be something that you might be specifically looking for, and let's try and figure out where you could potentially find it. So we're going to go over to Silo's Pen, and we're going to take a look and see where you could potentially find this item, and what it could be, you know, what's a good place to farm for it. Now, it is a level 42 item, and we're going to look at under those auspices, because obviously if we're building specifically a Spears on, we may want to find this as we're leveling up. So let's assume we have about 150% magic find. I feel like that's fair for a level 45 character, and we're going to look at bosses. So the first thing we're going to do is cut out the hell difficulty bosses, even though those are the best chances. So we'll look at that in retrospect. So if you were trying to farm this later on, there are some good drop chances from the hell bosses, but we're going to look at the nightmare bosses. At level 45, you tend to be around Act 2 nightmare difficulty. That's essentially where you end up being. Mephisto can drop this in nightmare difficulty, a 1 in 2026, so that's not bad. And for the most part, it does look like most of these bosses are hell difficulty bosses, or too far into nightmare difficulty to be useful for farming purposes. I mean, you could potentially farm Nightmare Mephisto, but Diablo in Nightmare is going to be far past level 42. Bale in Nightmare is going to be far past level 42. Obviously, Bale and Diablo in Hell difficulty are also going to be far past level 42. Let's take a look at Super Uniques. And we've got Hell Cow King, which of course is not even remotely near level 42. Who do we got here? The Summoner in no, that's Hell difficulty. Never mind. You know what? Let's limit this to Nightmare difficulty. Mr. NiNi tried to make a break for it, and now he's yelling at me. He's such a talkative little thing. I don't care that you want to go over there. You're going to mess up my Transformers. You're going to mess up my Transformers, sir! aggressive head patting. Let's see here. Claw Viper Temple level 2 Fang Skin. That might be an okay, but it's 59,000. 1 in 59,502. Very bad chances. It does look like, unfortunately, this is one of those items which you may not be able to find at the correct time when you need it. So instead of looking at monsters that could potentially drop this on the right level, let's just simply look at what our best probability is if you wanted to farm this item. So it does look like Hell Cow King is a really good chance at 1 in 3,881. Obviously not something you're going to be able to farm at level 42, but definitely something that you could consider later on, maybe with your Magic Find Sorceress. We also have a very good chance for Bale in Nightmare difficulty of 1 in 1,499. Not bad. And Diablo in Nightmare of 1 in 5,014, or 12. We also have Andoriel in Hell difficulty as a 1 in 1,594. It's not bad there. Honestly, Diablo in Nightmare might be your best chance. It is far past level 42 when you could equip this item, but at the same time, Diablo in Nightmare is probably the lowest level boss that has a decent chance to actually drop this. So, so there's, I think that's your money right there, is Nightmare Diablo. All right, guys and gals, I do appreciate you watching my videos, especially when it is about a very specific person's flank. If you are unaware what the word flank means like kind of like the side of your butt. As always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.